Right. Yeah.
Donald Trump. The way to end the violence that you know is directed to introduce martial law into the nation by Obama and his regime, which includes Loretta Lynch, the Clintons, and a few wealthy businessmen who reported to be friends of yours, is to not have any more rallies. You don't need to. Just TV, YouTube, speak to Americans from the sanctity, if you like, of
YouTube is cheap.
As you have been doing already. Continue to do that. You do not need to have any more rallies. It gives opportunities to BLM financed by Obama and co.
And Soros.
And Soros. Yeah, we know all of this. It's the Clintons, it's the whole regime. You know it as well as everyone
YouTube
else.
is free. You're not going to be interviewed by any of the Jew supporting media. They're going to just bag you anyhow. Say nothing to them. They're not even in a picture. You talk directly to America.
Yes.
And there are 4,000 family camps and more. There is millions of coffins. The Noahide laws were signed into law by George Bush Sr. in 1991, I think.
March 1991, when it was the end of the day, there were only 4.
Now, it means in the laws that if anyone worships openly Jesus, they can be beheaded on the accusation of a Jew.
Yep.
That's reality. So tell that to your people on YouTube. And what they're trying to do is get these blacks to pay them, because they're all unemployed anyhow, and the Muslims, to show up at your rallies with guns, and it's going to break out into a civil war. Then Obama, the Undertaker, which his name is out of
Skull and
Bonesman,
nickname.
he will then take over and declare martial law. But you can't have martial law if there's nothing happening. And it's only going to happen if you go on to your rallies. Talk to your people. Say, all right, I'll send in $5 each for every person in America. They're going to vote for you. Well, you soon find out how many people support you. That'll be an honest toll, wouldn't it? Everybody in America sends who's going to vote for you, send in $1 or $5 or whatever the case may be. And go on YouTube. You've got YouTube, you've got Twitter. Use the tools that's been given you.
As he has been. He's on Twitter constantly.
Yeah. So only you talking is what it's going to be. And have yourself 5 people that are in a quorum that is your vice president. That's it. Non-Jews. But you've got Judge, you've got that lady with the nice boobs, the
Judge Jeannie.
Judge, yeah. You got Gingrich, you got the governor of one of the states, very, very likable fellow. And whoever you choose, it's up to you.
Yeah, they'd be your...
So you've got 5 people that will veto
that think
anything that, by majority quorum, that you pass a law. If you were to say, do this, well, it's up to them to ratify it. I agree. You still have the ultimate power, but you consult and see what they think first before you... So get rid of the central banks, start making your own currency. Currency's got to be based on human and resources, as opposed to something that the Jews have as a credit rating. And the amount of wealth you have in the land, in the country itself, that makes what your GOP is. You dig it out and you do what you like with it.
GDP.
Your biggest market, of course, is North America. Well, you're complaining about the Chinese doing that. Well, you do it in North America. You determine the currency value, because you own the central bank. You pay off the debt by a stroke of illegality, guilty of fraud, for the 21 trillion debt that you have to the manufactured Federal Reserve banking, loaning, cartel, fiat money, straw man, Khazarian,
mafia.
Just do what Hitler did. Get them out. See you later. Then you'll deal directly with other countries to agree. The UN has got to collapse. The EU has got to collapse. The EU is your 7 Belgian authorities that are all Jews that tell the laws of all other nations how they have to behave. That's why the Brit exit happened, and now that's 1 hour with the beast, but it started in
So
1957.
the EU is the beast. That must
The EU is
crumble.
the beast.
The 1 hour is
So it
up.
sounds like the Vatican with 7 popes, but it's not. And 7 hills, it's not. It's the EU. Right, so all run by Jews, still communists. So, huh? It's the Hegelians have 2 sides of the same argument. And one is opposed, one's for. Therefore, you control both sides. It's called the Hegelian
Dialectic.
dialectic. So people who are killed, who are Christians, their bodies are instantly taken by the angel that's here from heaven to see your final judgment. You go either way. And the righteous ones that got killed in Paris, for example, are just immediately taken to heaven, and they're going to reincarnate, or they will revive. So you've got that showing of Mike. The guy we call him Mike, isn't he? Mike Mann is not his real name. Right. So just show them what I did. I'll be over here eating some cheese.
No, this story is really sad, one of our followers, but it just demonstrates what we've been talking about, the immortality of the body and the soul. This is why the scripture, where it says, fear him who can kill both body and soul while in hell. Well, the earth today has been made hell by the Jew who calls themselves Jew and are not. And the judgment is occurring. This is why they so fear their own death, because it is the annihilation of them once and for all. However, for those who have attained within their soul the immortality of their soul and their flesh body, the soul is worn on the outside, just as Yahweh's soul is worn on his outside, that's of his flesh body. That is the white garment. He is the first fruits of the resurrection. He is the life. And all of those that have been born into this period of time after him have been raised in this period of time, called the resurrection, raised to death, or they have been raised to life. Now, to give you an example of one of our followers whose an attempt was made on his life several weeks ago where he was shanked. He remembers nothing of what happened. There's about 12 hours in his life that is missing. However, he went on a simple dropping off groceries to his 4 children who were taken by his wife last year. He dropped off groceries, he left their house and went to look at a truck that he knew was for sale at some friend's house. He was very familiar with both the guys, that he was told by one that he had 2 glasses of wine with them. The second guy said to him, one day I will tell you what happened to you, because our follower knows nothing what happened to him, except that he returned home 12 hours later, back to where he is living with his father. His father called him twice on his phone the morning after, when he didn't return home the night before, and his father told him, you answered on the second occasion and you didn't know where you were. However, he made it back safely to his home with his father that morning. Now, what he returned with was a black eye, a black right eye, and a knife wound up underneath his chin. And it was either the 19th or 20th of June that this happened to him, as far as he can remember. I'll tell you what happened to him years ago, but this is what has happened to him just weeks ago. And I'll approach the camera to show you the wound, the stab wound. Adam said he's definitely been what is called shanked. Somebody who really wants to kill somebody else will shank them this way. He told me yesterday, as I was probing him, since he doesn't remember much at all, is that the wound was several inches deep, and he was able to close it just by applying silver water, and there was no blood on himself or clothing. He has thoroughly searched every part of himself and his clothing for any sign of blood, and he found none. Now, the police who did see him after this happened told him definitely somebody has tried to kill you and they have left you for dead. Now, the sad part of this entire story is that his estranged wife, who took his 4 children from him without reason last year, and he has been able to see the children every other weekend, from what I can gather. His children are his life. His estranged wife, when she saw him, which was the next day after he returned home with these injuries, after having not known what happened to him, that her reaction was she was as white as a sheet and really nervous and looked like she was looking at a ghost when he turned up. She was shocked. And the stranger, well, it's all strange, but she didn't even ask him what happened to his eye, which was very black and very noticeable. So again, in my probing his memory to try to piece together what it was that happened to him that night, certainly somebody tried to kill him. It does seem like she is implicated. Certainly her family and friends, well, at one point he said in our conversation that when he's in the presence of her family or friends, it's like they know that they could off him, kill him at any time. And all he could say is that they must be really shitting themselves because they've tried, and he's walking around today. The only problem he has is, he says, a bit of stiffness when he looks up like this with his neck, and there is still a bit of pain under the right eye where Adam says that was, he probably fell and hit.
No,
his,
no. That's the knife going up past into the brain, right on me.
Well,
from that side up to the other side.
Well, could be
they
too.
grab you from behind and they shank you. That means they take a big carving knife and they stick it straight up.
Yeah.
Goes up into your brain.
Yeah, well, and Adam said that the width of this wound looks like the size of a hunting
like the
knife.
spear of Legends.
Yes, which is behind us. Longinus. Anyway, the story of this follower is that he found us years ago now, when his second daughter was just 21 months old, and he was thinking, well, what do I watch next on the YouTube? And she pointed to Yah's photograph in a video icon that was on the screen. So he clicked on it, and of course he'd found that the Christ is back. And then in 2011, when we were staying at Toowoomba, he told us the story of when that little girl was just 3 months old and in a pram. The family walked into Walmart, I think it was, when a man that looked very much like Yah, tall, grey-haired, blue-eyed, wearing a vest that we used to have and used to wear, but that vest has vanished. He approached them and said, "You have beautiful children, and can I pray for the baby?" Which he did, and by waving his hands around and praying. And yes, they told us that that man looked just like Yah. Now, in this story, going back to when, because at the time there were 2 daughters and the oldest child belonging to the wife from another man. But years before, they were in another part of Alberta, I believe, working. He had work, and his wife was now pregnant with what would have been their first child. He is actually away from where she is, out west, working. He gets back to be told that she has lost the baby through a miscarriage. Now, while he was out west, and before he gets back to hear this sad news, he had a car accident, and he describes it the night that he died twice. He died twice on the same night. The first time he was taken into the heavenly realm, where he saw and had a conversation or information told to him by his unborn second daughter. This is the same daughter that pointed to the screen. And she told him that he had to go back and that the angels were coming to the earth and that not to worry about the firstborn daughter. She would not make it the first time, but she would find her way, and that he was not to worry. The second time he died, that same night, the same accident, is when he saw his firstborn, but it was a blurred vision of his firstborn daughter. But he could hear her voice, and that's the voice that he heard while his wife was pregnant with the firstborn daughter, before he got back, before he went to where he had to work, and that he's had this accident where he's died twice on the same night. So he goes back home to be given the news that that child was not going to come at that time because of this miscarriage. Now, the firstborn daughter was, of course, she did make it safely some time later. And then the second-born daughter was the one that he saw the first time he died, and she told him not to worry about her older sister. So, bottom line is that they were both safely on the earth and playing out in this man's life. Thereafter, the two firstborn daughters came a lovely third-born daughter, and then finally his son. So these are the four children to this man, a very special man, who they were removed from him. And he's told me yesterday he's remembering back to when his wife fled after he began to question her. He questioned her, this is last year, about that when she had told him that she lost the first baby through a miscarriage, because he had been told by friends who knew his wife and her friend that the two of them had planned at a bar the night that she said she lost it. She took pills to abort the baby. It was all to do with the place they were at, this bar, etc. And so she had, got rid of the baby. And that's why my follower was given the information by his second daughter, don't worry, she will make it, and she has. Now, it was 2 days after he was, going back over this, what he'd been told, etc., that she took off with all four of his children. She was a believer in Yah, etc., and even, got tattooed, all that kind of thing, which Yah doesn't. Bottom line is, she started going to a church, and so influence of pastors who work for Lucifer and other things going on, she completely possessed, to the point now where it looks like, only by his own recalling and us digging deeper for his memory, etc., that she could well be implicated with having him knocked off. And he simply said, I wonder if she has an insurance policy out on me. And I said, well, find out. And he actually said this morning that he worked 2 days for an insurance company, and he said he couldn't handle it, wasn't for him. But he did find out at that time that anybody can take out an insurance policy on anybody else as long as the fee, the premium is paid. So, anyway, on the one hand, this thing has happened to our follower, but he is a walking testimony to his immortality, which he's very aware of. And what Yah has been saying is that the angel takes the place of all of these atrocities, the innocent that are being slaughtered all around the world, because it's the judgment of the wicked and the unrighteous that is going down now. The demonic realm that infests the race that calls themselves Jews and are not, and in this sick and insane, supposedly religion that is practiced by Muslims, etc. It's all going to end, and they know it. So the horror that's going on around the earth is all part of this reaping, seriously reaping, that is going down. And yeah, as I said, the best way to stop what they are trying to put into effect in the USA is, you don't need any more rallies. You've got the people, you've got the numbers, and they're only going to go up, 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 up. Especially your sanctuary is your building there. You speak from your tower, and that's it.
Send the jet, we'll go over.
Yeah. Oh, very.
So the point is, there's all these FEMA camps set up. They do this thing 100 years in advance. You've got the Noahide laws in position with...
It's a centuries-old plan.
Any Jew can accuse a Christian for
It's
worshipping
straight out of
Jesus and it's
Talmud.
beheading. This is the insanity that's been allowed to run the world. Can you imagine how well we'll do without them?
Now, the other horrifying that I have read too is that with this White Dragon Society and everything that they're supposed to be doing, etc., they are willing to enter into a partnership with the Rothschild family, because on the scale of things, the Rothschild family have not obliterated too many human beings. Well, hello, you're talking to the devil themselves. There is no salvation for them, and the insanity of thinking that you can go into a partnership with them because they've been brought so low or whatever. We're talking devil in men here. Ain't going to work. And any society that thinks that they can work out a partnership that's going to be for the benefit of all mankind are totally deluded. That's all part of the deception and the distraction. Won't work. With that?
Got it.
Okay, let's get it done. Later, guys.